right, 10:01. Welcome everyone to another Oracle Apex Office Hours. This is the global office hours, and today we're going to be talking about exploring the Apex tutorials that are currently published with the authors who created them. I'm Jason Haynes, and I'm your host. Sometimes I host, sometimes it's Mark, sometimes it's other people, but today we have a whole bunch of the Apex team that are going to talk about these various tutorials. So it's going to be a very exciting session for you today. So again, this is the Global Apex Office Hours. You can subscribe for every one of them. We also have all the other recordings that we've had over the years that we've been doing these office hours. We obviously now also have different regional office hours, so you should be aware of that. It's all available from our website. Today is the 80th sessions, and so we're celebrating that. We've done 80 of these global office hours, and it all started back with Joel Coleman and David Peak in 2018. You can see there, June 28th. So with what, 6-7 years now? It's hard to believe we've done 80 of these, and I'm just super glad that we had the opportunity for everyone to be a part of this. And, you know, the magic of Zoom and online videos and all this stuff just makes it all happen. We can't all visit in person, but for those that can't, hey, we have Zoom and we have these wonderful recordings. So we have this shortcut for our playlist that has a whole long list of them on our YouTube channel. And again, you could just go straight to our YouTube channel and look at a lot of this great content independently. So I'd also like to take a moment to announce the Oracle Apex Sample Document Generator app. It's at that URL. I don't know if you have an opportunity to grab that or a screenshot. I think Monica can put that in the chat, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like. And when you go to the gallery within an Apex workspace that you're logged into, you'll see the app right there as one of the sample apps in the gallery. So you can install that, follow the instructions, and begin playing with the new OCI Sample Document Generator and be able to see the power that you now bring to your Apex apps out of the box with the latest release of Apex. We have a whole bunch of events going on currently and more coming down the pipe this summer. We have Oracle Dev Live Bengaluru, Oracle Dev Live and Cloud World Tour in Sao Paulo. I'll personally be there with Karina and our VP Ashish Mohindru. And then Apex Alpha Adria in April on April 12th, and on April 22nd to 24th, Apex Connect. So those are two big European conferences. Coming up in June, the Ascend event, Ascend 24, will be in Las Vegas this year. I'll personally be at that event. And we're also going to be really excited to brag about the fact that we're going to have the first ever North American Apex conference hosted concurrently at the ODTUG Kscope 24 event. So if you haven't marked your calendar to join us in Nashville yet, do so. We're going to be having another season of doing the boot camp, and it's going to be an Apex workshop for beginners. We're very excited to offer that in concurrency with the other events that are going to be put on there at the Kscope 24 event. But it's going to be a great time. So today we're going to be exploring Apex tutorials with the authors, and I'm one of them, believe it or not. I did create one of these hands-on labs. We do interchange the concept of workshop or tutorial or hands-on lab, so they all mean the same thing. But we're going to have Monica showing us about the starter online shopping app that she put together. We're going to have Paige talking about the movies watch list application hands-on lab. I'll be talking about the social media app hands-on lab. From there, we have Apruva talking about the AI-powered image search, which is actually an enhancement to the social media app, showing a bunch of neat features with AI. And then we'll round off with the workflow lab at the end with Rupesh. So we've all had a hand in working on these labs, whether it's been QA, testing, experimenting. Everyone on the team is involved in one way or another, but we just have primary authors that are responsible for some of these, and that's what today's episode is going to be. Let's talk about these hands-on labs and these tutorials. They may cover some various features that you're not familiar with, and you didn't even know that's available in that hands-on lab. And that's what we're going to go ahead and get more into depth with today. So first, we're going to get started with poll number 1. Which Apex version are you using today for your development? And is that something for me to do, Monica?
No,
No, you got it. I see
I
it.
just launched it.
All right. So if you all could take a moment to vote on the poll today, we're just trying to get a sense of where you are in your Apex development and what instances you're using. We know everyone's not on Oracle Cloud yet, but hopefully one day you will be. A lot of on-premise Apex development, and that's obviously very important. We're just trying to get an understanding where everyone is. I don't see anybody that's still using Apex 4.2. That's a good sign, but we still have some holdouts on Apex 5.1, right? 18.x, 19. Where's 23? I got to scroll down the poll. Don't forget to check out all the options that are there.
We put something 24.x just like a joke, and I can see that 3% of them select
They're-
that option.
They want to be able to use 24.x just like everybody else, right? Look at
Yeah.
you, Tanya. Please ignore 24x. No, we want people to, answer truthfully. Which ones are they using? Maybe they're in the future already.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, why not? Look into the future. So that's a lot of good feedback. Let's move on to the next one. Thank you, everybody. We have one more poll. We're getting better at this. Time travel confirmed. See?
The second poll, if you can
Oh,
move.
yes. Poll number 2. Oh, let me go back. Poll number 2. Which labs have you done? So of the hands-on labs we're going to show today, we're going to show the 5 most recent. But which ones, which ones have you done? Hopefully everyone's going to at least chime in on one of them each. Come on, we got lots of people that should. Oh, there we go. Here's some votes coming in. Phew, I thought everyone that was attending today was going to be like, no, we haven't done any of those labs. Why'd you spend all that time and effort? It's good to see that we have some good feedback. A lot of people having used a lot of them. Looks like the shopping app is out in front, close neck and neck with the watch list application for the movies. That's good, but AI powered image search, only 7%. Any more opportunities to get that vote in? We'd appreciate it just to get an idea of where everyone's minds are at in terms of this. We really do appreciate you joining us live. We understand that obviously we're recording this and it'll be posted later, but being able to interact with you, see where everybody is from. And of course, when we get to the chance of asking questions, we can't wait to try to answer your questions that you might have specifically about this particular topic today. All right, so that looks great. So first up, we're going to move on to Monica. Monica's going to talk about her hands-on lab for building a starter online shopping app. So I'll stop sharing so that Monica can take over and tell us all about that wonderful hands-on lab.
Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Godoy, and I'm also part of the Apex team, right? And the first Apex tutorial that we are going to explore is to build a starter online shopping application, right? So the first thing that I want to share with all of you is the shortcut link, right? It's right here. And also you can scan the QR code. It goes directly to a step-by-step instructions that you can follow in order to create this application from scratch, okay? So what's the purpose of this tutorial, right? Essentially, you are going to create a shopping cart application using the database objects that you are going to create in this tutorial. You don't need any other type of database objects. You are going to have everything you need right here in this tutorial, right? So essentially, for a shopping cart application, your customers or your potential customers should be able to browse the products, to filter the products. Eventually, they can add those products to the cart, and also they can proceed to checkout, right? So that's the whole idea of this tutorial, to have all of this functionality. And also, we are going to have 2 sides of the application. One side is for the public access, for the potential customers that they can go and add products to the cart. But also, we are going to have another side of this application that requires authentication and is only available for administrators, right? So administrators can sign in and they can run a dashboard to learn about how the business is doing. They can run a dashboard to see what are the top 10 products, what are the top 5 stores, for example. And also they have the opportunity to manage the products, manage the orders and other information that is available. So what are the concepts included in this tutorial, right? Some of the concepts that you are going to learn here are probably hidden gems in Apex. For example, the functionality to install sample data sets, to create lookup tables, and also to use Apex collections. And of course, you are going to learn how to create an application, how to enhance it, how to add particular components in Apex, for example, how to use a phaser search, how to add a cards page, how to include an interactive report, charts, and more, right? So you are going to find a number of concepts here about Apex, and this tutorial is intended for everyone, from a beginner to an experienced developer. For almost anything, any tutorial that you have in Apex, probably you are going to learn something new, right, from all of these tutorials. So now let me go to my Apex workspace, right? And also, let's say that this is your first Apex workspace, right? You don't have any tables, any views, you don't have anything. It's completely empty, right? So what is the easiest what is the easiest way that you can have some database objects to use for your application, right? So we are going to use sample data sets, which is the easiest ways for you to get some database objects, right? So if you go to this utility, you are going to find 7 sample data sets, right? For different use cases, different languages. The one that we are going to use for this tutorial is the customer orders. It's a collection of customers, stores, products, and orders. The only thing that you need to do is to install this sample data set, and then you are going to get a number of tables. For example, all of them: products, stores, orders, and customers, right? If we go to the products, we are going to see what are the details that we have about the products, right? Remember that the whole idea of the shopping cart application is that potential customers are interested to purchase these products, right? So we need to provide as much information as we can about the products. So what are the details that we have about the products? We have the name, we have the price, we have the image, and also we have a below column with the details of the product. But it will be great to have more details about it, right? For example, what is the type of clothing, what is the department, and also, for example, what is the color of this clothing, right? So what we are going to do also in this tutorial is to create some columns to have this information about the product. As I mentioned, department, clothing, and color. And then we are going to populate that data. And you are going to get something like this. For example, for the clothing, you will get the type of clothing, sweater, the shorts, jeans, and so on. As you can see, we have some redundant data and doesn't look very well, right? So we should normalize this data. And for that, we can use a functionality in Apex to create a lookup table, right? So we just need to select this option, and then you can select the column that you want to create a lookup table for that, right? Apex is going to run the entire script for you to create the lookup table, to insert the data, and so on. You just need to create it, and you just need to click on create the lookup table, right? Then you are going to have the lookup table ready to use, right? So it will be easier for administrators to maintain the data and so on, right? So now we have all the data that we need for this tutorial. The next step is to define the business logic, right? What are the procedures, what are the functions that you will need in this application, right? So the next step is to build a package. So we are going to create the specification and the body to define the procedures and functions to add products to the cart, remove products, create an order, clear the cart, and more, right? And to manage the items in the cart, we are going to use something called Apex Collections, which enables you to temporarily store products currently in session state so they can be accessed, manipulated, or processed during a user-specific session, right? So Apex Collection will work perfectly for this use case, right? So now we have the data, we have the business logic, we are ready to start creating the Apex application. And by the way, here is the entire lab, right? You are going to find all the labs. And what I have just told you is the lab number 1, lab number 2, lab number 3, and we just are ready to start creating the application, right? You are going to find also a download for the entire application, right? You just need to run the first 3 labs, and also you can download the application icon. In the lab number 4, you are going to start creating the application, and then you can add more pages to your application. You are going to learn how to enhance and improve this application, right? Okay, so now let me go to the completed application, right? So this is the application that you are going to build. It contains a facial search with cards, so easily the customers can see the products, and also they can filter those products. Let's say that we are looking for something for a boy, and let me select jeans, right? So we can see here the 2 products. Let's add one of these products to the cart. Let's another one. And then we can go to the shopping cart to see all the products included in the cart. We can also remove the product from the cart, right? If we don't need it, or we can edit the quantity of the product, right? And we just need to update the quantity right here. When you are ready, when the customer is ready to purchase, we just need to enter the email address, the name, and the store. And then they can proceed to checkout. If they don't want, they also can clear the shopping cart, right? So essentially, that's the whole idea, right? At the end, the customer can see what is the order ID, right? And then also they are going to get an email with the details of the order, right? The other side that requires authentication that I mentioned, that is for administrators, right? Includes a dashboard, right? You can see the top 10 products, the top 5 stores, the order status, and so on. And also they can manage the lookup tables, the clothing, the color, the department. They can also manage the stores and the products, right? In case that they need to update the product image, the price, or anything that they want to update. Okay, so essentially that's the shopping cart application, right? And with that, I will pass now to Paige to talk about the movies watchlist application.
Thank you, Monica. Very nice job. Great lab, great presentation. So, hi everyone, my name is Paige Hansen. I am the author of the Build a Movies Watchlist application, and we're gonna kind of go over, just like Monica did, go over a few of the key features, high-level concepts of this workshop, and then get into a quick demo and learn how to download and install the application. So, a quick introduction for anyone who's not already familiar with the lab. So if you would like to learn more about this lab, you can use the QR code or the link on this slide. But this lab basically walks you through the process of building an Apex application, which allows you to browse movies and create a watch list, kind of like with any typical streaming service that you would see these days. Like I said, you can use this QR code to learn more about this workshop. And a fun fact is that writing this workshop was actually my first project after I joined the Apex team in 2021. So it's kind of like my child project, which is fun. So a few objectives of this workshop, these high level goals that we were keeping in mind when putting this together. First, we wanted this to be educational for both Apex beginners, but also a variety of Apex developers. You don't have to be a beginner to go through this lab. This lab is for everyone. And we wanted to introduce a number of Apex development concepts, not just focus on one thing or the other. It covers a lot of different skills. So we wanted to provide developers with a thorough introduction to Apex. Additionally, not only did we want developers to understand what they're doing, but understand the why behind why they're working towards these steps? Why are they working through these steps? What is the end goal that they're working towards? And so in each part of this workshop, there are short explanations to kind of give context to what you're about to work through and how that contributes to the end goal. And then finally, we wanted to create a workshop that's fun, right? What better way to do that than to build an application about movies? Movies are fun. Movies appeal to a wide range of people. And maybe some people find the end application useful in their own lives to track movies that they want to see, or, mark movies that they have watched. And the end result of this lab, you can even continue to customize it further based on what you want out of this project. So very potentially useful application. And at the end of the day, we want people to have fun going through this lab and learn about Apex, of course. So some key features. First, we wanted to introduce the Apex App Builder and Page Designer, right? Sometimes if you're a beginner, it can be intimidating to sign into Apex and you're presented with all these options and possibilities. And so this workshop walks you through how to create an application, how to create pages and add content to those pages. And those step-by-step instructions make it super clear how to use Page Designer, add content, customize that content. In addition, there's introduction to a couple different types of data sources. So we have REST data sources that are used within this lab, and we also use QuickSQL in this lab to create database objects for use within the application. The Apex cards region is used in a couple of the pages within this lab. It's just one of the components that's available in Apex, but it is very present in this workshop. And then on top of that, we also have an introduction to faceted search and how to set up faceted search to use that to filter through your data, whether that data is coming from local table or REST data source, whatever it may be. So let's do a quick demo of the final application. So if you want to learn more about this workshop or do this workshop, you can follow that link. This is the introduction right here. My final application, when I sign into it, this is what I see. I'm a new user. I have no movies in my watch list. So I'm immediately being prompted to search for movies and add them to my watch list. And this, when you either download and install the completed application, or when you finish your application, this is probably what you're going to see. So I can go ahead and add a movie to my watch list by clicking the Add Movie button. I'm first presented with a list of current popular movies, and this is using the Movie Database API to pull a list of current movies that are either rated highly or are super popular, and this is coming from a REST data source. So I can either select one of these movies or I can search for a movie. I am a Harry Potter fan, and so I'm going to search for Harry Potter. And again, this is using a REST data source that's pulling data from the Movie Database API and then populating my search with these results for Harry Potter. So I can see that I have a number of options. I can click on any one of these options and view details about that specific movie. And I'm presented with a nice header with some details about the movie, the overview, and even a list of cast members. And this is all what you'll build out within this workshop. I can then add this movie to my watch list. I'm taken back to search. I'll add a couple more movies as well. And you know what? I'll go search for Dune. Dune 2 just came out. And so I'll add the first Dune movie and the second Dune movie to my watch list.
Dune 2 is awesome, by the way. I'm just going to interrupt
Dune
and tell
2
everyone
is
that.
awesome.
Dune 2 is great. Got to see it in IMAX.
So I'm just going to go ahead and add Dune 1 and 2, and I'll close my search and my watch list is refreshed. And now these are all my movies that I have added to my watch list. So I can now search using my faceted search on the left, or I can sort based on a few different options that I've added. Again, I've built all of this out through the workshop. And so there's step-by-step to figure out how to do this. I can see some details about each movie when I added it to my watch list. And if I want to see more details, then I can click on any one of these results and see that same details page. Now, because I've added this first Dune movie to my watch list, I now have the options to either remove it from my watch list or mark it as I've watched this. So I have watched the first Dune movie. And so once I mark it as watched, I now see that result, and I can see that my faceted search has also been updated on the left. So now I have 1 movie that has been watched and 3 that are no. So I can now filter. I want to see movies that I haven't watched and maybe movies that were released in the year 2000. And I can also filter by runtime. And as I mentioned earlier, this application is up to you to customize. If you build out this application, you can add whatever you want to it. So you could add more facets to your faceted search, so you can filter even further. You can customize the layout or the colors of your application, and you can even add more functionality to it. So it would be cool if there was a comments region using the comments template components shipped with universal theme, and then you or any friends who might use the application could add comments to a movie to describe how you liked it, whether or not you'd recommend from it, stuff like that. So that's a quick demo of this application. If you would like to just jump into the application without walking through all the steps, it is available for download from the introduction page of the workshop. There are also individual downloads available for each step of the lab. So I could go to the end of lab 1 and download the completed application. And it's only going to be that application up to the end of lab 1. And that applies for the rest of the labs as well. One other thing about this workshop, because we're using the movie database, you do need to have an API key, which means that you have to sign up for an account. It is for free, but you do need that API key in order to access data from the movie database. So I'm going to walk really quickly through how to install this application, and then we're going to take a look at a couple pages, and then that will wrap up the demo. So I have my Apex workspace here, and when I sign in, this is what I'm going to see. I'm going to go into my app builder, and in order to import an app, I'm going to select import. And I've downloaded my movies watch list 23.2 SQL file, and the file type is already correct. So I'm just going to go ahead and click next. From here, I can see details about my imported application, the ID, where it came from, stuff like that. So I'm going to just go ahead and leave all the defaults set and click install application. I can see that my application is being installed, and then I'll be prompted for my API key. Now, because I've already installed the movies watch list app into this workspace, I already have my API key set up. But if you're brand new, then you would want to copy whatever your movie database API key is, and you would want to paste it within the client or secret passcode box. So that's the next step. I'm going to move on. So then I'm being notified that my application contains supporting objects. This movies watch list application has 2 tables. It has the watch list table that contains your list of movies that you've added to your watch list. And it also contains a users table. Now, because again, I already have this finalized application installed into my workspace, I'm not going to install supporting objects because those 2 tables already exist in my workspace. But if you were a brand new person to this workshop, you've never installed this application before, you haven't done any of the lab, you would want to choose install supporting objects. From here, I'm just going to go ahead and click edit application. And this is what my application home looks like, right? So each of these pages match up to one of the pages available in the finalized app. On my home page, my watch list page, I can see that I have my faceted search in my left column, my cards region, which contains the list of movies in my watch list. And I can see that that source is coming from a SQL query, which is accessing that watch list table that we create in Lab 5 as part of the workshop. Additionally, on page 2, we have our search page. And here we can see we have a couple regions. Each of these regions are using those REST data sources I was talking about, and they're each pointing to a different one. So we have our popular movies REST data source, like we saw earlier. This is the current list of popular movies available from the movie database. And then we also have our searched movies. And we're customizing the SQL query just a little bit to get exactly the data that we want and format it the way we want. Finally, if we want to take a look at how those REST data sources are set up, we can go into shared components. I can access shared components from this little icon in the top right, or I can go to my application home and choose shared components. And then underneath the data sources section, I have my REST data sources. I can see I have 4 set up right now, and they each match up to one REST data source, and they're all pointing to an API from the movie database. So I have my search movies, popular movies, movie details, and movie cast. And each one of those I've set up to and configured to retrieve that data and then be able to display it in my final application. Finally, a couple additional like lower level concepts that this application or this workshop introduces is adding application items. We use an application item within this and an application process as well. And then within our movie details page, we introduce the concept of adding processes and branches in order to save, update, or remove data in our local tables and redirect to previous pages. So that is a kind of brief walkthrough of what this application looks like on the, at the end result, what it looks like behind the scenes. And then again, if you would like to learn more or even do this workshop or access the finalized application, you can go to the Movies Watch List workshop, and everything that you need to know is here.
Thank you, Paige and Monica. Excellent, excellent demos and presentations on these labs. Thank you so much. So my turn is the build a social media app. And you already know who I am. I've been talking already today, Jason Haynes, and I'm another product manager on the Apex product management team. This particular lab is going to be talking about building a social media app like Instagram. So this has come up so many times over the years as an Apex developer myself. People ask me, what kind of apps can you build with Apex? Can you really do anything that is pretty much mainstream today? And I always say yes. So this QR code brings you right to the lab. If you had a chance to grab that, great. I'm going to go ahead and move forward on this and try to keep within my 10 minutes. So building this particular app covers so many concepts. I mean, the list is long, and here's a few bullet points, right? SPA, single page application. There's so many people that actually come out and say, well, you can't build single page applications in Apex. And then if there are those that say, oh, it just doesn't work very well, or it's too difficult to manage. And it just frustrates me because it's just not true. You can build a single page application in Apex extremely easily. And then there are those people that say, oh, you can't have 50 dynamic actions or a whole bunch of things. It's too difficult to work with. I disagree. It depends on how you like to build apps. And when you have a bunch of JavaScript on a page, it's not all running at the same time. It does not slow the page down. And JavaScript is so fast, it doesn't even matter these days. But in addition, the whole idea of what Progressive Web App can do for mobile apps on mobile devices, the whole fact that it's mobile friendly in this lab, where you can use the device location, that is to optionally opt in to use the device GPS, and also the camera to natively load or upload the images you take with your phone or mobile device. So all that comes together in this lab on a single page. In addition, if I'm able to acquire that location of the user uploading the image, we then keep track of the latitude and longitude in a table, and then that allows this particular app that's built in this lab to display it on a map. It is intended for everyone, by the way, because even at the beginning of the workshop steps of the lab, I walk you through Page Designer and some things that I felt were important to point out for the purpose of being effective in using the lab. So we do call this particular one also very good for beginners and everyone alike, because there are some things in here that are intermediate. There are some things that could be argued as advanced, but it's good to see it all in one particular hands-on lab. So the various things that also get discussed in this lab are database concepts, not just web app development concepts and not just Apex concepts. They're concepts that approach every particular kind of web design you can think of. But Page Designer is an Apex concept, and I go through that in detail. Quick SQL and building a relational data model. That's also a very simple example done in this lab. And I talk about multiple tables, not just a simple data set. But I mean, don't think that the other labs so far don't include multiple tables or relational data models, but this is one where you're building it from scratch. There's a form region, a cards region, working with different dialogues on the page, working with blobs again for working with the images that you take, the photographs you take on your mobile device, some custom JavaScript, which obviously lends itself to dynamic actions in Apex, as well as custom events, which also dovetails with the JavaScript used on the page, including some custom HTML and CSS styling. So all this comes together in the app. And just to give you a little heads up again, when you go to apex.oracle.com, you can go to the Learn section, and then there's tutorials, and that's the link we've been sharing in the chat. So here's a few of the labs we're doing today on this call. Here is Build a Social Media app right here, and we just previously did the watch list and the shopping cart app. And when you navigate to those, you're going to end up with a nice looking page that is very standard across all of them. This whole Live Labs format is very, very useful. The first step is getting, the introduction to what the lab's about, creating the app, building the data model, getting familiar with Apex and developer tools. So this highlights why it's a very good introduction or everyone type of audience app. But you can also go right to the end of Lab 4 for an optional time saver, which allows you to just download a completed app and start just taking off with a lot of the other development on top of it. And we have screenshots through the entire steps. So this is what that app looks like. I've already got it where I'm opened up a map and I can see where some of these images were uploaded from across the world. So we're all familiar with Instagram and Twitter and X and Facebook, and that's all this app approximates. It works very well on a mobile device. It's a lot of fun to play with, but it brings all this functionality together in one single page. In fact, when I click Add Post, this is a dialogue that is also on the page. I just uploaded this particular image moments ago, and this is what the lab endeavors to teach you how to do with your apps and also to have fun. So there's a lot of content here from my travels and where I've shared this app and allowed people to upload their own images as well. And it's just a lot of fun. From there, if I navigate back to Apex Builder, you can see that it is really only a one-page app. The global page has nothing on it. Excuse me. And the login page, well, we don't really count that one, although it could be integrated if you really wanted to. But when I navigate to page 1, which is the timeline page, you're going to see a lot of good stuff that's very typical and very common. We have the main body, which is the timeline, which is the cards region. It has a bunch of different attributes that are set like everything else, very common stuff, but it does have some custom buttons with custom reactions that target JavaScript fundamentals that Apex takes advantage of. So actually, I've got an action event that's triggered here, which is based on JavaScript that I have in the Page Designer configuration on load. So I have a like button that's defined, a delete button where it may be useful, the open map, and there's even an about button. So being able to define custom events like this in your dynamic actions is a big deal. And even though this is a one-pager, there are not that many. I have custom actions for liking a post, custom actions for deleting a post that are all controlled by the server-side conditions. Just a lot of really fun stuff going on in this particular app. From there, that actual region where you're able to post that image is what we call another kind of, actually this is the map, but here it is here, the post form. It's a form on the page that is hidden by default and is enabled to be seen when you click a button on the page. So it's just really neat to be able to combine all that on one page without even navigating away. So there's a lot of good stuff covered in this lab. I hope you enjoy it. The whole idea here, as I mentioned, was to try to show a lot of different concepts within one app that made it fun and showing a lot of the features of Apex that have been only recently made available in the last few years. I mean, the map stuff didn't come out of the box in Apex until Apex 21.1, and it's hard to believe that's a few years ago, but it's just one of those features of Apex that we just don't have enough excitement around, and I don't understand because maps to me are really exciting. And you're not just stuck with points. You could do geometries, all other kinds of features of Oracle database, including all the fun functionality of Oracle Spatial, calculating distances, and more. And this whole idea of being able to do things conditional on the page, a lot of people don't realize that you can make things conditional on page load in Apex. So I tried to dive in quite deeply with a lot of these features, and I hope you enjoy this lab. But notice you could also take it in a different direction. There are different ways to approach using an app like this. It doesn't just have to be for social media. It involves any kind of content that you want to upload and have available to your users. And of course, it does work extremely well on mobile. You can install it as a PWA, and it's just a lot of fun. So again, I know I brag about how much fun I have with these different technologies and different examples of the technology used in Apex. It's just so much fun and I love it. And I hope you will appreciate the love that we have behind a lot of this stuff, because quite honestly, the whole team has put a lot of effort into making a lot of this stuff something you can learn from and then reuse in your daily work, or the fun that you may have that we also call work. So having stated all that, I think we're now ready to move on to Apurva. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. And if you have any questions, I'll try to catch up on those in the Q&A. Over to you, Apurva.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So hi everybody, my name is Apurva and I'm one of the product managers in the Apex team based out of Bengaluru, India. So today we'll be exploring the Build AI-powered image search tutorial. Like Jason mentioned, this is a workshop that we extended on the existing social media app that Jason just showcased. So the additional functionality that we added was integrating with the OCI AI Vision service, where we invoke the REST API and implement the functionality where the users can search for images in the social media app. So I have a QR code on my screen to access the demo app. This demo app is accessible by everyone. You can scan it right now and open the app. Here, I'm going to open the demo app myself and show you how it works. So this is similar to what Jason just showed you. It's the same social media app with one additional feature, that is we have added the AI search bar at the top. So what it basically does is if you would like to search for images just like in other photo apps like Google Photos, you want to search for a dog or a building, you type in the search text and click on enter, and you can see all the images that have dogs in them. So this is the basic functionality that we have tried to showcase through this workshop. Uh, this demo app actually contains all the information that you will need. If you click on about this app at the top right corner, you will see that it has 3 tabs. Under about this app, you can read all about what this app is about and what is the architecture behind this application. And if you'd like to know a detailed explanation about what is AI Vision, OCI AI Vision, and what is the architecture, last week, Rupesh has demonstrated in detail in the global office hours. So you can check out the recording to see a detailed explanation of the steps involved in building this app. So in the second tab, you can see how to download the completed app. So the completed app, once you download and import into your workspace, it might not work for you because you need to do additional setup like configuring your OCI API keys and also setting up the web credentials. You might also need to change the vision endpoint. I'll just show you in a second. We'll circle back to this in a moment. In the third tab, under learning resources, you can see all the associated blog posts related to the workshop, and also the link to the workshop is here. If you're a person who would like to watch the video and follow the steps, we also have a developer video where we walk you through the step-by-step process of building this app. So let me go back to my presentation and see what were the major key components that we covered in this workshop. So the first step to invoke the REST API in the OCI Vision service is to generate the OCI API keys. If you have already used the OCI service, you might know that you need a API key pair to establish a secure connection. So you need to generate that, and we have showed you in the tutorial how to do that step by step. And once you do that, we then move on to creating the web credentials. Web credentials in Apex show you a declarative way of just setting up the authentication by entering the API key values. Next is we have showed you how to use the invoke API process. So this was a new feature which we introduced in Apex 22.2, and in Apex 23.1 we also extended this feature to include invoking a REST data source. So you can try that out in this workshop where you invoke the REST data source using the invoke API process. And the third is we show you how to use the image classification, which is a pre-trained model in the OCI AI Vision service. Now, Vision AI is just one of the services, AI services in OCI. There are multiple AI services offered on OCI. You can try them out. So this is just a starting point, and we have just showed you a minute example of what can be done. And the third is we show you how to run a execution chain in the background. So we invoke this API using a process execution chain. Without wasting much time, let me go back to my Apex workspace, and I'll show you some of the key components that are involved in setting up this integration. So first was the web credentials. I'm going to skip the part of generating OCI API key. That's a common step. So in the Apex side, if you go to workspace utilities and web credentials, you can see that we have set up a web credential where all you need to do is just enter the values that you generated in your OCI console, like user ID, private key, tenancy ID, and public key fingerprint. So once you enter all these details and apply changes, that's it. You don't have to write any other code to do the authentication. So once this is set, next would be to set up the REST data source. We will be using a REST data source to invoke the Vision AI REST API. So let's see how the REST data source was set up. So go to Shared Components, and under REST data sources, you see that we have a OCI Vision REST data source, and here we have configured the Vision AI endpoint URL. So since I'm using the Ashburn tenancy, the Vision AI API URL is the following. But if you are using a different tenancy, the URL will differ. So you need to refer to the API documentation to fetch the correct URL. You can get the link from the workshop. And then in that Vision AI, we are using analyze image method. So this is just one of the methods. There are multiple features that you can use, like document analysis and so on. So in this workshop, we are using analyze image. So once you set that up, we are going to send the request using a post method. So in the post method, we are going to send a request body template in the following format. So this JSON format is what is expected by the Vision AI service. So that is what we have followed here. And we are going to pass the parameters. Instead of static values, we are going to set these parameters up in the process in the page designer. I'll show you in just a moment. So once this request body is set up, the REST data source setup is done. Now we can go back to the application, and like Jason said, it's just a one-page application. In your timeline page, what we have done is added a process execution chain. So analyze image is the parent process execution chain. Analyze image will have two processes. One is to invoke the Vision AI REST API. And once you invoke that, you're going to receive a response. Now the response is also going to be in JSON format. So we need to parse the JSON response so that we can use it for our application. Here, the first process, like I said, is using the invoke API, and we invoke the REST data source. So you can declaratively select the type as REST source, and you can select the REST data source that we created earlier, and the operation is post. Now, here in this process, you can set up the parameters. The parameters are generated here, and one by one, you can set it up to the values that that we want for this application. So here, the feature type, we are using image classification. Vision AI has multiple pre-trained models like face detection and text detection and so on. But here we are using image classification. And file data is nothing but the image file that we're going to send it to the Vision AI so that it can classify the image and send us all the related labels in those images. And the response is the response we receive. So the second process is the parse the response. Here, what we are doing is we have a short PL/SQL code where we parse the JSON object, what we have received, and we extract the labels from that JSON response, and we store them in a comma separated value in the AI output column that we create in this SM post table. So you'll be creating this column in lab 1. So we store that in this table. This will help us to filter the images when the user searches in the application. So another important thing is we mark the process execution chain to run in the background. So how is this useful? When a user uploads the image, since this is a demo app, we have not allowed users to upload the image, but you have let me run the application and show you. You get an add post button just like social media app. So once you add a new image and click on post, immediately the process execution chain is triggered, and it sends the API request, and it receives the response and stores the related labels in the table. So once that is done, when a user searches for a particular image, it will filter based on the labels. So that logic is in the timeline where we have written a where clause where we only display the images which matches the output. So this is basically the gist of the integration that we created using the AI Vision service. As I said, there are multiple pre-trained models in AI Vision. As a challenge, you can implement object detection or face detection and text detection pre-trained models to enhance the app. So do check it out and try it out, and do share it with us. We would love to see your experiments. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation and I'll hand it over to Rupesh, who will be talking about the workflow lab.
Thank you, Aparna. That was very nice. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from where you join. My name is Rupesh. I'm the product manager from Oracle Apex team. So now let us discuss about the workflow lab that we have recently released, I think, over a month ago. So we have released this lab mainly to help our developers understand what is Apex Workflows and how you can utilize the components that you get, like out of the box, like you will get Visual Workflow Designer, where you can go and drag and drop various activities. You can kind of drag connections and drop them, and you can do a lot of things out of the box. So the main concepts that we covered in this hands-on lab is our Apex Workflows. Obviously, you're going to understand what is a Visual Workflow Designer. You're going to understand what is a component, what is a activity, what is a link, and everything you're going to understand out of the box. Along with that, we have integrated various things like Invoke API, where you will be calling your PL/SQL procedures, packages, and functions, etc. And we have also used task definitions to take the human approvals, whether to approve, reject, and we also use the latest action task available out of the box with Apex 23.2. And you will also learn how to create email templates and how to send emails out of the box from the workflow itself. You'll learn about that. And we have provided various scripts like various tables, procedures, and packages for you. You will learn how to import those scripts and how to run those scripts out of the box. So with that, if you want to learn more about Workflow Lab, you can scan the QR code, or you can use the link we have provided at the bottom, which is apex.oracle.com/go/Apex Workflow Lab. So let me just go to my Workflow Lab. This is a lab where you will be learning everything about workflows. You'll learn how to create a workflow. You'll learn how to design your workflow. You'll learn how to add various things like Invoke API, send email, and other functionalities. If you want to download this workflow, simply come to introduction. You can click on expand all tasks, and you can see a download section here. Click here, and you'll be seeing a downloaded file to your local system. Right? You'll be utilizing this to import. I'll show how to import as well in a second. And before even going to import, let us identify business steps. I'm not going to talk in detail. This is like a simplified doctor's appointment made easy. For example, if you're calling up a hospital to take an appointment, so the hospital management or front desk staff will take the appointment, will input your appointment in the system. That is where the workflow gets triggered. And it will capture everything, like whether the doctor is available or not available. If not, send an email. If the doctor is available, send a request to the doctor, and ask his decision whether he's going to take the appointment, whether he's going to approve it or reject it. And once, based on his approval, you can see there are various options that happens here. So we're going to talk about this, and you'll also see the end user or the patient to confirm the invoice, whether he's accepting the invoice or he's rejecting the invoice, right? So let me just go to the application. where I have already created the workflow. So this is my doctor's appointment made easy. You can see here, if you want to create, you need to go to Shade Components. Under Shade Components, you can see Workflows and Automations. Simply go to Workflows. I'll just close this. And you'll see it already created workflow. If you want to edit it, you can edit it. If you want to create a new workflow, you can create a new workflow as well. Now let me go to doctor's appointment. You can see here, this is a beautiful workflow designer that we have incorporated into your Apex application out of the box. I'll let it load. I think my bandwidth is a little slow. Okay. So let it load. In the meantime, let me go and show my application as well. I'm sorry for that. My bandwidth is slow. I think that is the reason. Yeah, you can see my workflow here. This is my workflow visual builder, visual designer, where if you want to create any activities, right? For example, I want to add a start workflow activity. I can just drag it and drop it over here. I want to do a workflow end activity. I can drag it and drop it. I want to create an invoke API, send email, everything I want to, I can drag it and drop it. And if you want to add parameters to your workflow, you can just come here, right click on this, add parameters, which are fixed values. You cannot change parameters at any point in time. And you can also note that the workflow is currently in development environment, and workflow comes with a runtime engine as well. And if you want to activate it, you need to have proper participants available. Once that is done, you can come here and click on activate. You can activate your workflow and make it production as well. So various things that you want to configure, like how your activities are defined, once you drop the activity, what it should happen, everything you can see is configurable out of the box. It is like your page designer that you use in your when creating your pages, right? It is simply as easy as using a page designer. So do explore this. And you can see that we have covered how to design the application, how to create the workflow, how to add human task, approval system basically to your workflow, how to add activities, connections to your workflow. This is very important for your workflow, right? We covered everything in here. And you can also see we have covered workflow pages. Like you also get workflow pages out of the box. You also create those things out of the box. So now let us run this application. First, let me log in as a hospital staff, where he'll be taking appointment. For example, there is a patient named Rajesh. He called the hospital staff. He has picked up the phone and he's going to take the appointment of Rajesh, right? Rajesh is a patient name. Let us give a sample email ID. And he is looking for general appointment. And the appointment date is fixed for next week, Friday, which is 29th March. And the doctor, obviously, all these things we know. It's coming up automatically. I'm giving some age for the patient. Once this is done and click on book appointment, the workflow will get triggered out of the box. If you want to learn, you can see here, I have added a page as well to monitor the workflow for the hospital staff. You can go here. You can see the workflow for patient Rajesh, which we just created. I'm just opening it. You can see that the workflow is started already. Once I clicked on my submit button, and it computed automatically, the workflow computed whether the doctor is available or not available. It is available, doctor is available, so it has raised an appointment request with the doctor, right? Now what I need to do, I need to log in as my doctor. General, I'm going to log in as Pat, who is my doctor. Okay, let me log in. Once I log in, I need to go on whether reject it or approve the request, right? I can see this is my 29th appointment. I can see more details by just clicking on it. This is a approval component or human task approvals we already know. I'm going to click on approve. Okay, my workflow is approved already. Now the patient Rajesh called up the hospital again to check the status. So Steve is logging to his application to check the status of his workflow. You can see what happens over there. I'm going to monitor workflows again for patient Rajesh. Rajesh called up, so I'm going there. You can see doctor is available, appointment approved, approved by the doctor. Then appointment got confirmed, and it has validated whether it is a free consultation or consultation charges are applied. And the invoice is sent to the patient, whether the patient should approve it, should accept that invoice or not, which is an action task, which is one more amazing feature we bought in 23.2. You can see the variables here. If I expand it, there is no fees because this is a follow-up request. There is no fee at all. So the patient don't need to pay any fee. You can see these are the parameters of the workflow. You cannot tamper it. You cannot change it at any point in time. So finally, it is my job as patient Rajesh, to log in and accept my invoice. So that appointment will get approved. I'm going in finally. As a patient, I'm going to log into my application. I'm just going there to patient task, and I will see a task available for, with the invoice. I'm just going there and clicking on complete. My task is completed. I have accepted the invoice. Now hospital staff can see whether that is approved or not by going to monitor workflows. I'm not going to log in as Steve. Again, Steve should be there, who is hospital front desk staff, to check that, right? Let me just log in one last time before we close. And you can see why I'm going to show this, the workflow. You can see everything else is done. Our raise invoice request is done. Rajesh has approved, accepted that invoice. Update appointment is updated. Now it will go, before raising the feedback request, it will wait until the next 8 days, because appointment is on 29th. I have added a wait activity. So for the next 8 days, it is going to wait until the appointment gets finished. Then it will raise a feedback request as well. So all these things, you just see that I have 2-3 action items that I did. The rest of the things are carried away by workflows out of the box. If you want to learn more, just visit the hands-on lab, which you have built, comprehensive hands-on lab. And if you want to do something, like if you want to use already installed application, already completed application, like I mentioned, you just need to come here, click on downloads. You can go back to your workflows. We have supporting objects, everything pre-installed. Just import that lab from your downloads or from whichever folder you have created. Okay, I'm not sharing my second screen, so it is not coming. So I'm just coming here to doctor's appointment made easy. I'm just uploading it. Click on next, 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 and your application will be installed. So we know all these things about how to install an application. So once application is installed, please make sure that users are already created. Since I'm using, okay, let me click on install application. Okay, my application is installed and it will ask you for installing supporting objects as well. Since my supporting objects are already available, I'm not going to install them. I'm going directly to my edit application because I have already available. So now if you want to run these workflows, if you want to log in as users, please create these users mentioned in the lab, hands-on lab. It is clearly mentioned in our lab. All this, for example, we logged in as Rajesh, Steve, we logged in as Pat. All these users you need to create beforehand in order to log into your application. So with this, you can just install the application and run your workflow lab as well. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that presentation. Thank you to all our presenters today for taking time out of their busy schedules to talk about all these hands-on labs. We look very forward to seeing you at our next office hours, if not the other regional office hours that are available around the world. Thank you so much yet again. And I hope you've learned something and can find the time to actually exercise some of these hands-on labs yourselves and just become a better Apex developer. It is really and truly a great time to be an Apex developer, and we just really appreciate you, and I hope you're enjoying this journey as much as we are. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.